Well, I've got my revolution bar over here. I suppose I could always move the revolution bar like there. Nope, that's behind me. There. I'll put it there because it's clearly so bloody important. And as you fight... So what revolution does is quite interesting. You know how you've got all these abilities that you can use and stuff? Well, instead of needing to press every single one every time you attack, you can put them on a revolution bar, and what it will do is it will use every ability as it becomes available. And so you don't really need to plan what you're doing. You just set up the revolution bar and then fight, and you don't need to know what your abilities do. Now, just let me explain this and tell me what you think about this. This is the first boss encounter we've been given. We have been given a revolution bar with 4 abilities on it. Lesser Dismember. Slice the target, causing them to bleed. We have not had bleed damage explained to us. Slice, basic ability. If the target is bound or stunned, damage increased by 40%. We have not had anything about binding or stunning explained to us, and yet this is relevant to it. Lesser Sever. Strike at the target's vitals and do lots of damage. That's fair, totally understandable, basic stuff. Backhand. Strike the target with the back of your hand. 20 to 100% damage and stun the target for 1.2 seconds. So straight away, we're going to go into a fight. We've had this set up for us, and we don't yet know that we're doing bleed damage, we're stunning, and we're doing bonus damage based on stuns. That's 3 mechanics that if I click on this enemy, I'm just instantly using without any knowledge that I'm using them. This to me feels like you're giving the player a decent setup of how to play without them actually fully understanding why it's a decent setup. You've also got your old ability over here of Slaughter. Stab the target, causing them to bleed, deals 3 times damage if the target moves, but that has never been explained to us either. We've been given the tooltip and told to use it when we can, but this tutorial very much feels like they've given the player a hell of a lot of cool stuff without really taking the time to explain what the cool stuff they've now got is. You don't... And if you've played lots of MMOs before, you'll totally get it. But it's very difficult. Sometimes you have to take a step back from your knowledge and say, right, Morningstar, bronze offhand mace, not using it, Morningstar's bones. Sometimes you have to take a step back from the knowledge that you've got and say, right, how would a new player know what this is? How would a new player know what to do with this? All you need is an encounter with an enemy who slashes or backslaps you, and then you'll understand. Yeah, show them what it does, let them use it, put them into a place where they have to use it, and when one mechanic is understood, move on to the next one. Yeah, it's pretty much, look at all the things the game has, now go and use them all and figure it out. That's a perfect way of putting it, Letish. Absolutely perfect way of putting it. The game is very proud that it has all of these things, but it's so proud it forgets to take the time to truly explain what these things all actually do, and then just gives you them and kind of shoos you off to adventure. Go and have fun. Go and have fun. Devil's Advocate, that would make the tutorial too long. In that case, work out how to make the tutorial fun, because a good tutorial is a fun, enjoyable, playable part of the game. Soul Reaver has like a 2-hour tutorial, but it's actually the opening of the game. Portal is a 1-hour tutorial before you get everything you can do in the game, and then it goes off. Any good game, the tutorial is actually an early part of the game where you learn stuff. God of War 1, you're still learning stuff halfway through the game. That could still be considered part of the tutorial. The tutorial doesn't have to be a separate part of the game. It can be an opening section of the adventure that you can go on if you want to, or you can choose, if you want to skip it. So, I mean, Breath of the Wild is just a massive tutorial until it teaches you slowly how to get things. What I'm saying is that was one boss encounter. What if that boss encounter could only be hurt by bleed damage? Suddenly you're shown how bleed works. What if a boss needs to be stunned before you can hit it? Okay, cool, now we've got stuns. And yes, it would make it a relatively long experience, but if RuneScape wants to be a complicated game, it needs to understand that it must teach players its complexity. I think one of the things that RuneScape doesn't do very well is it does not teach players its complexity. A tutorial should never be something you dread and want to get over with. It should be a way of playing through the game, and by the time you understand all of the game, you've actually been like, oh, that whole thing was tutorialized. Fantastic. That wasn't... a great way to look at it is The Simpsons Hit and Run. Everyone played The Simpsons Hit and Run? The entire first level is a tutorial. It's teaching you how to get in the car. It's teaching you how to jump. It's teaching you how to kick. It's teaching you how to walk around. It's teaching you how to find shortcuts. It's teaching you how to call your car. It's teaching you how to avoid the police. It's teaching you how to fix your car. The entire first level of The Simpsons Hit and Run is literally every single mechanic tutorialized via a playthrough of the level. And then when you get to level 2, it's like, okay, cool, you know everything we have. Go and do it all again like 10 times. Cool. Okay. Yes. A good tutorial is when you don't even notice the moment that you know what you're doing, but you're suddenly sat there thinking, I know what I'm doing. I understand every single button press. I understand my agency over every mechanic. I understand the power that I have got to lead this adventure in the way that I want it to go. And what we're seeing right now with the RuneScape opening tutorial is they give you an ability bar with abilities on it, and they say, hey, this is a good setup, but they don't explain why, and you don't... You know when you fought that troll, and suddenly you were slapping it, you were stabbing it, you were slicing it, you were bleeding it? I didn't feel like I was doing any of that. I did not feel responsible for the success in that combat. I felt that I attacked them, the game did what it told me that it should do, and I won. And I feel like that was the game's victory, not mine. That's how I feel as a new player, or how I think a very analytical new player would feel. But again, I know that I have a tendency to dive way too deeply into all of these things.